March 10th. It is our regular board meeting, and this meeting is now called to order. The first order of business will be a pledge of allegiance. And Dylan Mitchell, could you lead us in the pledge of allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And gentlemen, if you please remove your hats. Sorry, I just feel that when we're in the building, it's always wide. My mother always told me that, so I'm not picking on it. The next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda? Hearing none, then the agenda is adopted as presented. The next item on our agenda are commendations. Let's start with the middle school. Is this student from last week there?
I don't think either student is here, but we will read what we brought, and some of them might be tuned in online as they couldn't make it,
Okay,
so
great.
they'll watch from there. Okay, first we will read about Jorge Torres Garcia. He was February Student of the Month, couldn't make it. They're hoping that they can watch from the comfort of their home. So, Jorge, my guy, says Mr. Long. Jorge is also known in PE as the Power Tower. Jorge is such a good young man. He's a hard worker, a considerate teammate, encouraging of others, and a lot of fun to be around. He always has a great smile and is respectful to adults. Jorge is a thinker. He asks meaningful questions and processes concepts instead of just quietly listening. Jorge is honest and a wonderful example for young men at NISA. Congratulations, Jorge. From Mr. Moyes, what a great kid. I appreciate his positive attitude and work ethic. Jorge is always willing to participate and is incredibly helpful. From Mr. Hartley, it's been great having Jorge in my social studies class this year. Jorge is a positive example in class and comes with a willingness to learn. He's always positive and is a great example of what it means to be a bulldog. Whether it's working on projects or assignments or helping someone out in class, he leads by example. He may not be the most talkative person in class, but he's always going to go the extra mile. His fellow classmates see his example and it makes them want to work hard as well. From Mr. Cisneros. Jorge is an amazing student that works hard and is ready to help his peers when needed. He's great to have in class and is always eager to give responses when working as a class. Thank you for being a great student, Jorge.
All right, and this is Jennifer Terran Trinidad. All right, so just some of the great comments that we have. Jennifer is a great student. She always comes to class with a positive attitude and a cheerful disposition. She is conscientious, determined to do her best, works well with her peers, and gets her assignments turned in on time. I appreciate her increasing contributions to the class. Hey, there she is. Come on up. Great timing.
Excuse me, do we need a translator?
Mr. Murray will be translating.
Okay,
Yes.
Well, you just go ahead.
Sure, you can do it right after me.
Okay.
You want to read Mr. Hunter's?
Mr. Hunter, sure. So, el maestro Hunter de la clase de matemáticas dice siempre llega a clase con una actitud positiva y una disposición alegre y está decidida a hacer lo mejor que puede.
Okay, and this is Mrs. Skeen. Jennifer is such an incredible student. She impresses me every single day with her desire to learn and to drive, and her drive to learn. She doesn't want to just have the right answer. She wants to understand everything going on around her. She advocates for herself and is quick to seek guidance to help transition information from English to Spanish and vice versa. She doesn't settle, and I can't wait to see what she accomplishes throughout her years in the Nissa School District.
Y de la señora Skin, la maestra de inglés, dice, me impresiona todos los días con su deseo y motivación para aprender. No solo quiere tener la respuesta correcta, quiere entender todo lo que sucede a su alrededor.
Okay, and then one last one. Mrs. Greenwood said, Jennifer shows exceptional dedication and enthusiasm in PE, always giving her best effort, whether it's in team activities or individual challenges. Even though she is new to the school, she has quickly made an impressive impact. Jennifer is a great example of hard work and determination, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the great things she'll continue to accomplish.
Y de la señora Greenwood, de la maestra de la educación física, dice, aunque es nueva en la escuela, rápidamente ha tenido un impacto impresionante. Jennifer es un gran ejemplo de trabajo duro y determinación. Y felicidades a usted y a sus padres.
Congratulations.
Next, let's have the elementary school.
All right, we got some really good ones this month. It's hard to choose through all of them, but we'll start with one of our students from our 5th grade, Haley Mitchell. So a couple things that her teachers wanted to say about Haley is Haley is an extremely dedicated student who has been making a lot of growth academically. She's been a standout leader in her class, and I can attest to that. She's on our leadership team also. Great leader in her class, showing kindness and inclusion to everyone. She's a prime example of a student who embodies our NES values, safe, respectful, and responsible. That's Miss Hayes. Mr. Nunez, Haley has been extremely an exemplary, there we go, student in my classroom, in the hallways, and outside of the school. Haley is always respectful, listens to others and all the teachers, and is always helpful to other students around her. Haley is a very good example of the Nissa Elementary School's 3 very important pillars about being safe, respectful, and responsible. I feel very fortunate to have Haley Mitchell in my classroom from Senior Nunez.
Okay, and then our K2 student of the month is Isabel Alguezabal. Okay, and this says, Isabel is a dedicated and diligent student who consistently demonstrates kindness and compassion towards her peers. She strives for academic excellence and approaches her goals with determination and a strong work ethic. It was a pleasure to have Isabel in class previously, and her positive attitude and commitment to her studies were truly commendable. Excellent work, Isabel, from Mrs. Delbridge. And then Mrs. Copland said, Isabel is always on task and gives her best effort every day. She is a great friend to all of her peers and is very respectful and responsible. Keep up the great work, Isabel.
All right, our parent volunteer of the month, Diana Garcia. Something special for you too, and yes, we're going to talk about you. We are. Diana volunteers in my class each week. If for some reason she can't be here at a regular time, she always makes sure to arrange a different time. I can count on her for some of the more difficult tasks, and she does quality work. Diana gives attention to detail, and if she finishes a task early, she helps pack up students, clean tables, or anything else she notices that needs to be done. She is a volunteer that truly makes a difference in my classroom and contributes to the success of my classroom. I appreciate all you do. Congratulations on this recognition. Love, Mrs. Moody. And I wanted to just say a few things too. Diana is a volunteer and she makes a difference because she puts in a lot of time and effort to support her child's and children's classroom education. I think that's where the first time I met her, she was skipping across the Adrian Avenue with her four kids with her, and she's singing, and her kids are just happy and positive, and it was just like a joy just to see this mom with her kids and knowing that they would be at our school. She helps her child's teacher with prep work and with fulfilling special projects. The great positivity that she brings to the classroom when she is there is infectious. I appreciate her willingness to help jump in and volunteer. There is something special about her positive attitude that makes others happy when they are around her. Watching her, like I said, watching her walk her kids into the school and support other kids with her caring heart. It makes Nissa Elementary a better place for everyone.
And our staff member of the month is Ryan Moody. Okay, Ryan Moody is simply put nothing short of an amazing unicorn of a human and IA. He is dependable, jolly, caring, and hardworking. I am constantly impressed at Mr. Moody's dedication to his work and his students. He is always one to jump right in and help where he can. And one of the most important things that I've seen him do is show humility when he's wrong. He's the first to tell a student, hey, I needed to handle that a different way. We're very lucky to have Mr. Moody as a mentor and a teacher in our community, and that was from Mrs. Olson. This one says, I'm so excited to be able to tell everyone a little bit about Mr. Moody. Ryan is one of the hardest working people I know and wears many hats in the district as an elementary IA, a middle school basketball coach, and a bus driver, and a summer school IA, and. He is quick to jump into whatever situation he needs to. If someone calls for a suspicious person on the grounds, Ryan will be there to help out. A student is choking, Ryan will be there to do the Heimlich. No matter what the job is, Ryan doesn't hesitate to help. He isn't afraid of difficult jobs and will step in whenever needed. He is compassionate and caring, but holds the students to a high standard. Ryan, we are so proud of you for earning this much-deserved recognition. As your family, we know how much you care about making a difference in the lives of each child that you work with, and are thankful for the help and assistance that you have provided us at school as well. We couldn't be prouder to be your family. Love, Mrs. Moody, and your kids. And I would just like to say, I could say the same thing and keep going. So this is very, very normal of Ryan, and we appreciate him very much.
He's our yes man.
For high school.
We only have one, but he's a really good one, so we'll talk about it. Mr. Joseph DeBudge, please come up. He's our high school. I'm going to chill there for a little bit. Okay, I got a couple things to say about him. This is from Mr. Cruikshank. Joseph is determined to do his best every day. His work ethic is above and beyond. He never settles for average. Always paying attention to details and is very organized in his daily life. In my opinion, his classmates treat him with the utmost respect and encourage him to work through everyday hurdles in advanced ag. I've seen a great deal of maturity in Joseph during the past year. He's starting to realize that it's time for him to make major decisions that will affect his future. I think that he's prepared for the challenges that he'll face in the coming years and look forward to seeing him develop into a fine young adult. This is a great choice. That's from Mr. Cruikshank. Ms. Skeen said this, Joseph DeBudge is what every Bulldog should strive to be. He works incredibly hard in class to overcome everyday challenges and doesn't let anything deter him. He advocates for himself and is quick to put himself out there to answer questions and help other students. I've seen him grow tremendously and I've had the opportunity to teach him over the last 4 years. Joseph is accomplishing great things at NHS and he works every day to get the most of his education. Congratulations, Joseph, from Ms. Skeen. Ms. Woodruff probably says something as easy as you can say it. Joseph is kind, respectful, and always on task. He works efficiently and cares about his learning and his understanding. Oh, if all the students could be as fantastic as Joseph, what a school this would be. It's honestly true. Congratulations.
All right, thank you and congratulations to all of you. There will be pictures taken out in the hallway if you would like to go out there. And you're welcome to come back into our meeting if you'd like to.
Van a tomarles fotos en el pasillo si quieren ir a tomar las fotos y si quieren regresar a la junta pueden regresar. Gracias por su buen trabajo.
Congratulations, guys. Thank you. You had a freaking whole crew here. Let's cheer you guys. Congratulations, guys.
We will now move to the next item on our agenda. We've lost more than half of our audience. Sorry. The next item on our agenda are visiting patrons and delegations. To the high school, Jenny.
Good evening, everyone. So today, so I'm the senior class president, and I will be talking about some fundraisers that we're currently doing and what we will do, and also with the senior class trip. So currently we're doing a fundraiser in which we are collecting cans, and that will end pretty soon on March 18th. And then one that is coming up that will be here pretty soon. We're still getting all the stuff to do that. And so I'm going to talk about the senior class trip now. So we have decided that we are going to Lagoon. Yay! Yes, everyone is super excited about that. So yeah, and on behalf of all the senior class, we would be very grateful if the school board would provide transportation. So
Jenny, when is your trip?
it would be May 26th.
The day after graduation.
Yes. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys. Okay. Thank you.
Do I hear any questions for Jenny or about the request to provide transportation?
You mentioned that you had a fundraiser coming up.
Yes, so the PTO is letting us have the fundraiser where they do the spray painting of the end on sidewalks. That's what we will be doing.
Have fun doing
Yes.
that. That hurt you.
Do you just need one bus?
We will need, yes, like one bus.
Two.
Two?
Two buses.
Okay, okay, two buses.
There's 80 students, and the bus holds 53.
Is this an overnight, is this an overnight trip or?
No.
So we need a motion on that to, as to whether that we would provide a bus for the senior trip.
I make a motion to provide 2 school buses for the senior class trip to Lagoon on May 26th.
So we would do 2 buses, 2 drivers, and then 2 hotel rooms. So,
Oh, for the.
yes, because they need 8 hours of downtime before they can come back. So.
I make a motion for all of that.
It's been moved by Maribel and seconded by Donnie to provide 2 buses, 2 drivers to 2 hotel rooms for this trip to Lagoon on May 15th?
26th.
May 26th, excuse me. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. The motion carries. Next on our agenda is our student rep, Katie.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We are high-tech this evening. I had a couple of pictures from the last month that I wanted to show, so I've gone with a PowerPoint presentation for this evening. So without further ado, here is my high school report for the month of March. First up, is this button right?
Yes, you might have to stay. It
Please
was
hold.
earlier.
Ah, there we go. Okay, so I made us a little table of contents. First we have state HOSA, then state BPA, a little wrap up of all our winter sports, and finally we'll finish with some upcoming events at the high school and with student council. First we have state HOSA. So Jenny has kindly provided us with a picture of everyone who went to state HOSA. This was this past weekend at Idaho State University in Pocatello, and I understand that they had a pretty fun time. And they had 2 qualifiers for internationals in Nashville this coming summer. Jenny Piscasio for respiratory therapy and Kaylee Carrasco for clinical laboratory science. So that is super exciting. We're all very proud of them over at the high school. Next we have state BPA, and we took a record number of kids to state for BPA this year. I think we had a total of like 30 or 32 kids, and it was awesome. It was at the Boise Center over in downtown Boise. We took a bus every morning and then came back at night to try and save some money because we are going to nationals in Orlando this coming May. And we have also a record number going to nationals, which is super exciting. We have Tyler Young, who placed 4th in advanced accounting, which is a super hard event. So it's really pretty impressive that he's able to place at that. And then Brian Sanchez, Mason Valentine, Oscar Iniguez, and Tyler Young got 1st place for video production. And I kind of just have to brag about these guys for a minute because the national prompt for all of BPA was about the idea of farm to table. So obviously, our NISA boys had a bit of an advantage. We've got farms all over the place. And they chose to create a video all about the process of taking sugar beets from field to table. And they were able to get inside the Amalgamated Sugar Factory, and they really did follow the process all the way from start to finish. I loved watching their video, so I think they definitely earned their trip to nationals. And it was awesome, and I love the way that they highlighted something that kind of makes NISA special, and that's our sugar factory. And then Ava Anderson got 1st place for word processing. She's a freshman. How cool is that? Placing 1st at state and getting to go all the way to Orlando for nationals. And then Jaslyn Martinez and Xavier Montez got 3rd place for computer animation team. It is my understanding that they actually hand drew all of the frames for their animation, where I think the other teams were also utilizing some like AI generated images. So again, super impressive. We had a pretty good week over at State BPA, and I'm also going to nationals, but you know, whatever. And nationals are going to be the 2nd week of May in Orlando, Florida. So that is super, super exciting.
So what did that last person, who was that last person, what did they get for?
First,
Oh, that's me.
Oh. For what?
Prepared speech and business law and ethics.
Nice. What did you do on those sites?
So I gave a speech all about the importance of fostering professionalism in teenagers, and I kind of focused on ways that parents and teachers can help teenagers be prepared for workplace success, and then also ways that teenagers can kind of take initiative and just seek out those settings where they can practice being a professional. And I'm kind of getting tired of this speech, but I'm still kind of proud of the work that I've done on that. Next up. These are our girls basketball players. They finished out their season, and this is a picture of all of them at senior night, which was this past February, and something that I thought was super cool when I went to February is right here in the middle, we have Abby Long, and Abby tore her ACL in one of the first games of the season in early December, but on their last game, which was not this game, but it was when they played Vail a couple days after that, they let Abby shoot the first shot at the game, and I thought that was awesome. Just a nice way of making sure that hey, we know Abby's still appreciated even though she didn't really get the senior season she was hoping for. I thought that was awesome and just a really great show of sportsmanship, especially because Vail's our rival school. We all know Vail's our rival school. So I thought that was just awesome and honestly one of the coolest things I've seen this year so far. Then we have our boys basketball players, if you'll excuse the Greyhawk photography watermarks. We love the work the Greyhawk guy does, by the way. And our boys basketball also had a super awesome season. And I like this picture. I think it's cool that we've got all of them standing for our national anthem. When I asked one of the boys basketball players, like, hey, what can I say to the school board about your guys' season? He was like, well, I don't know. So that's all I have for boys basketball. Here we have boys and girls wrestling. This was the best picture I had that had both boys and girls on it. But we were able to take 10 boys and 3 girls to the state tournament. I've got a slide here with our state placers. Lorian Bounds at 100 pounds was the first female state champion from NISA. She pinned the girl in, I think it was either the end of the first round or beginning of the second. And when Lorian got that pin, everyone who was sitting in the NISA section, we just all completely erupted into cheers because we saw history being made. And then just a couple matches later, we had Abby Marduk becoming also the first female state champion from NISA. And hers was kind of an interesting match. She ended up winning by a medical forfeit over the other girl, but it was still a super awesome night to watch those finals matches. Mr. Cleaver, we're all sitting right up kind of next to the mat, and Mr. Cleaver walks by and he goes, hey, trivia question, who's the first girl state champion from NISA? And we're all like, Lorian Bounds, yay! Then we had Joey Jimenez with second place. Kind of a letdown for him, but we're all still really proud of him, and hopefully we'll get that state title next year. Adan de la Fuente, a freshman, with 5th place. Joaquin Cuevas, a sophomore, also in 5th place, and Luke Baker, a sophomore, at 6th place. So, not the best state tournament that NISA's had over the years, but still not too shabby. Okay, upcoming events. The first thing that I want to talk about here is Student Council is going to be collaborating with PBIS. We're thinking we're going to do a passing grades reward. We wanted to kind of get in on this. Some of the other events that PBIS has done have been, your good old-fashioned pizza party, and more recently, a bingo activity during advisory. We're thinking an Easter egg hunt could be fun, because I don't think you're ever really too old for an Easter egg hunt, so we're kind of in the works of planning that. We thought it might be great to contribute to some of the awesome PBIS efforts that have been happening this year, just kind of show them, hey, we appreciate you, but here's some student ideas that we wanted to present. The next thing is actually the one that I am most excited about, and that is an elementary school character strong outreach. And this was an idea that was hatched at a meeting a couple months ago, and some of the student council members were like, hey, we should totally do something with the elementary school. What's a way that we can connect with those elementary schoolers? And I said, awesome, let me set up a meeting with Mr. Pratt, and we'll see what we can do. So Mr. Pratt was like, well, we've got these character strong traits of the month. I think it would be super effective for these kids to hear it from someone who's maybe a little closer to their age, cool high school kids. And so let's do some outreach with our character strong traits. So we're still in the works with that, but we think what we're going to do is take just a couple of our high school student council members and do some sort of presentation while these kids are eating their lunch. Kind of a captive audience, I know, but we want to do either like a little role play situation of like, hey, what does this character trait actually look like in real life? Something to kind of get these kids involved. And one of the ways that we settled on this particular method for elementary school outreach was we actually had the awesome opportunity to have the 5th grade Bullpup leadership team come to our last meeting this past Thursday, which I hear had positive reviews. I sure had fun planning it. I mean, I was stressed a little bit thinking, oh my gosh, we got to set a good example for these kids. But we had a really great time. I feel like it was pretty productive. The 5th graders, took them a little while to kind of get comfortable with what was going on in the room, but eventually they start throwing out ideas and we're going, yeah, we love that, let's do this. And yeah, it was awesome. So looking forward to some more collaboration with the elementary school on that. Then of course we have our spring sports starting up. I feel like there's so many spring sports compared to the other seasons. We got baseball, softball, golf, tennis, track, like hopefully I didn't forget any. And then prom's coming up in May, kind of something I'm not super involved in since I'm not on the prom committee, but I'm hearing people starting to get excited, the dress buying, who's going to go to prom with who. So if you guys remember being in high school, it might have been a long time ago, but always a really exciting time. And then next month, I'm going to have FFA State Convention to report on, which I'm excited to see how that goes. We always have some really great results with FFA State Convention. So if there aren't any questions for this month, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you.
She also forgot to mention she did the State of the School address last month too.
I did
She
do the
did
state
do
of the
that.
school address.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Great. Public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to the next item, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Warnock. I appreciate it. Prom was a while ago for us, so I'm getting over that and breathing. Anyway, first I'd like to say happy Spring Forward, everybody. If you know, yesterday with Spring Forward, it really affects our kids. Really, Tuesday we see that, but just happy Spring Forward. I want to start tonight by giving out a huge shout out to our classified staff and thanking them for everything that they do. Last week, and you guys knew, was Classified Staff Appreciation Week, and we showed our gratitude through things like a parade, lunches, and gifts. But even with these efforts, we can never really just say thank you enough. And I want to tell the board I appreciate you guys going around giving those gifts, those classified, and meant a lot to them. And so thank you for that. As we know, our classified staff plays a critical role in our schools, ensuring students arrive safely, preparing meals, teaching foundational skills, maintaining our facilities, and so much more. Our students at community truly appreciate them, and so I just want to say thank you for their dedication to this. Next, I would like to, as we usually start up, I would like to invite Mr. Murray up to provide an update on Title 1C as well as our title desk audit, which we discussed in September's meeting. Our district is in the audit cycle this year, and I've been incredibly pleased with how our team have managed this process. It really has been one of the smoothest, best audits we've ever had. And so a huge shout out to the team, and we're going to get wrapped up soon. So Mr. Murray, come give us an update.
All right. Good evening, everybody. First off, I want to invite you to the Migrant PAC meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock here in the boardroom if you're interested. Secondly, just kind of to summarize the migrant program, where we've been and where we are now, just use two words, prohibited on one end and presenter on the other end. A year and a half ago, we were prohibited, as you might remember, from recruiting anyone and from providing family engagement services because of our status as a high-risk district. Now, we are actually a year and a half later, being asked to present to all of the state coordinators on our experience as a migrant program going through this monitoring process. So big changes from prohibition to presenter. Then as Mr. Hawkins mentioned, we have been audited going through a monitoring process with our other federal programs. That's Title 1A, 2A, 3, 4A, 5B, our homeless program, and our foster care program. All federal programs for which we receive funds, and each program has its own requirements on how those funds can be spent. And so the monitoring process generally concluded last week. ODE provided a report after hearing from us and after we submitted documentation. And generally speaking, as Mr. Hawkins mentioned, there was positive comments there. They felt like the federal programs had improved quite a bit since the previous monitoring cycle. There were items that needed to be corrected in order to come into full compliance with the federal requirements. But those items were sufficiently small that even though we received that report last Wednesday, all but maybe one or two of them have already been concluded. The rest will be completed this week, and then ODE will wrap up this process with a visit here in person on March 14th and 15th, and probably one or two of you may want to be part of that in-person process. Did I say?
You said March. They're
Sorry.
coming in May.
Yeah, that's like 2 days from now. So.
Yeah.
May 14th and 15th. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is to invite you to the 9th annual Malheur County Spelling Bee, which is this Thursday, beginning at 8 o'clock. It starts in Mack Hall, and as always, we are hosting 18 different school districts here and about a little over 100 students competing for prizes from 1st to 8th grade as top spellers in their grade level, as well as a final competition to determine the top speller in the county, who will go away for those honors with a $500 scholarship prize and be named the top speller in Malheur County. So we hope that you can make it for those exciting events. If you can't, the live links are on our homepage.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. I appreciate it. And if you haven't seen the bee or gone to the bee, I would highly recommend it. Like, it is amazing to see all these families and everything, and the show that they put on is nothing short of amazing. They actually start practicing in December just for it, and so Mr. Murray, thank you for your organization on that. It means a lot to kids. So I also want to take a moment to address some community questions regarding potential executive orders and dear colleague letters that have been emerging. As of now, I would like to say that these are not new laws, right? And nothing has officially changed. However, as a district, our focus remains on supporting all students and ensuring that we continue the great work we're already doing. We will keep monitoring any changes at both the federal and state levels, especially in the light of the legislative long session that we're in and proposed bills that could impact education, funding, and policies. Our strength does come from our community, and we will continue to provide an excellent support to our students and staff every single day, and that's never going to change. And so I would just like to give an update on that, and when things do come out, obviously we'll tell the board, but the community as well, and we are here. So thank you for that. Lastly, I would like to throw out a reminder to everybody that conferences are next week, Wednesday and Thursday. We look forward to welcoming all of our families, and I know the board has made a commitment to be in buildings to connect with parents during this time, not the whole time, but they will be around. So if you see them in there, please take a moment to say hello, and thank you guys for your time and commitment to that. Just meet families, and it's fun to just shake hands and smile. So that is it, and I wanted to say happy spring, everybody. Yeah.
Please. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Murray or for Ryan? Hearing none, we'll move on to the financial report. Crystal.
Good evening, everyone. So I have provided you reports for our financials through February 28th of 2025. It was a good month for us. Brought in some nice revenue, and we spent a lot of money. So, but no surprises for the month of February. And I appreciate the questions prior to this meeting. Some things got questioned, and Mr. Hawkins got those answered. So I just appreciate people looking at their reports. So basically, the sad news for the month of February, we lost a little over $500,000. We're still carrying that balance, which is good. But the best news of all is the state has rebalanced the state school fund, and we will be getting our payment adjusted starting in the month of March. And so I will report excellent numbers next month. So that's good news.
Crystal, on that, we get a
Yes.
lump sum plus that will affect our monthly going forward, right?
Yeah, so they've rebalanced it, and so we have a remaining balance that we only have 3 more months of payments, so they'll just divide that evenly the next 3 months.
Okay.
After the general fund report, there is the account summary of our district LGIP account, just showing how much money came in and the interest earned on that money. And then after that is the tax report from the county. So you can show what we collected, what they call current year taxes versus prior year taxes. Happy to say our middle school bond fund balance is, we're just 4,000 shy of what we need for our next debt service payment. That is due in May, the end of May. So I'm feeling really good about that balance, and all that money just goes to pay that bond. After that report is our LGIP for the middle school. We keep that money separate from our other funds that we receive. Tax report on that. And then just kind of a shout out to food service. We ended the month of February a little over 18,000 in the hole. However, it was, I believe, over 20,000 last month. So we're doing some good work in food service, trying to minimize that deficit. After that is the approval of the bills report, everything that was spent from our district from February 4th. I ran this report on March 3rd. And then the final report I always provide is the payroll report for the month of February. I did want to note, if there's no questions, next month I will be presenting we're gonna have a budget hearing. It's a supplemental budget that I will be asking the board for approval, and this is regarding the additional funding that we've received. Because in the budget, we did not budget for as many students as we currently have, and so since it has increased our expenditures more than 10%, it requires board approval to make a budget adjustment. So I will be presenting that next month, but that's just from the adjustment in the state school fund.
And the adjustment doesn't have to go through a budget committee?
No. No, just the board.
Great.
Are there any other questions for Crystal?
And then I guess only other reminder is our budget meetings will start in May, so. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you, Crystal.
Yep.
We'll now move on to the consent agenda. The minutes from from our February 10th regular meeting, minutes of February 17th special session, and minutes of the March 3rd work session minutes. The approval of the financial report, hires and resignations, and renewal of teacher administrative contracts, as we have previously discussed during our meeting on the third, our work session, and the renewal of classified staff, supervisors, and confidential employees. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
It's been, a motion's been made, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Donnie and seconded by Susan to approve the consent agenda as provided. All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. We'll now move on to old business. Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you. Last month we discussed the calendar, I brought it up, and then we also talked about a study session. And so you'll see in your packets the calendar that I'm actually proposing today is a little bit different. It reflects feedback from both the board and the community, specifically regarding not extending the school year into June, but instead adding instructional days at the beginning of the year instead. So I'd like to thank the board for canvassing our community and helping create next year's calendar. So thank you for the work out there, going out and talking to people and getting that feedback for us. So by scheduling the first 4 Fridays as school days, we're providing our school with valuable time to establish classroom routines and expectations. Additionally, this approach will create consistency. After these initial 4 weeks, Fridays will no longer be instructional days for the remainder of the year. So essentially, you'll see on the calendar, first four weeks will be full weeks with Fridays, except for obviously Memorial Day weekend. And that's only for 4 weeks. So we took them from June and put them in August to give us that start of the year. And I do want to remind both the staff and the community that this adjustment was based on the attendance data for the past 2 years. And on Fridays, we've seen a sharp decrease in attendance for staff and students. So when we transitioned from a 5-day to a 4-day school week, we committed to making every instructional day as impactful as possible. However, based on that data, seeing that we were dipping way below that 90%, even at 80% with some of our staff attendance, is that it's showing that those Fridays were not meeting that goal. So that's why we adjusted the calendar. We're kind of listening to our staff and students and making the best calendar to support our learning environment. So you'll see it in front of you. That is this one. That's what I'm actually presenting tonight. And you'll see it on there. And like I said, after those first 4 weeks, there are no more Fridays for the rest of the school year. So the calendar will be, we're just making a little tweak on that. So thank you again.
There are no other Fridays for students.
For students, staff will still have the same PD days, the county PD days, those ones. But for students and families, it will be consistency. After that, after the 12th of September, you don't have to worry about Fridays anymore. So, yep.
Yeah. Any questions from the board on that? Then we have policy updates for adoption.
I'm going to vote on that calendar.
Wonderful.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need to. Thank you.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion on the presented district calendar?
I vote to approve the district calendar as presented tonight.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Dustin and seconded by Jasmine to accept the 25-26 district calendar as presented. All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Policy updates for adoption. We went through those at our work session, has multiple questions and satisfactory answers. We got back to us, which we appreciate. Are there any other questions or comments on those questions?
Are you sure you want to ask me, because I do have more?
I appreciate it, Dustin, because these, we are a governing board, and we're governed by the policies that we adopt and utilize.
So, I guess the first question I would have is did we make those changes we discussed last week in work session? Okay, so then the other one, the GBN JBA, that was the one I hadn't reviewed before last week. So I looked over it, and there were a couple of things that I didn't like in it. So on page 2, the first one is at the very top in subsection 2. It says unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that is physical, verbal, or nonverbal, and that interferes with the student's educational activity or program. B, interferes with the school or district staff member's ability to perform their job or creates an intimidating, offensive, or hostile environment. I don't know why we're limiting sexual harassment to having to include one of those 3 things. And because it's defined elsewhere in this policy, whether or not it interferes with the student's educational activity or program, if it's unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature, it should be sexual harassment. I don't think we need those other items in there that say, but only if.
That's a very good point. I mean, you know, if we put ourselves in that situation.
So are you thinking or instead of, what would be your right?
Yeah, I would just leave it number 2 as unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature that is physical, verbal, or nonverbal, period. So that's the first thing. The next one's in section 3. So it's the second paragraph of sexual 3 that begins sexual harassment does not include, maybe I'll just read that whole paragraph. Sexual harassment does not include conduct that is necessary because of a job duty of a school or district staff member or because of a service required to be provided by a contractor, agent, or volunteer if the conduct is not the product of sexual intent or a person finding another person or another person's actions offensive because of the other person's sexual orientation or gender identity. I think whatever reason a person finds sexual conduct unwelcome, whether it's orientation or gender identity, that doesn't matter. If it's unwelcome, it's unwelcome. I don't think there should be a disclaimer in there if somebody says, if one student decides to make an advance to another student, and they're of the opposite sex and that student welcomes that, fine. I'm not getting into the moral debate of it, but fine. But if somebody says, no, I don't like the sexual advance because you're the same sex as I am, that's still sexual harassment if they continue in that. I just don't think it matters.
And I think what this is, it's really looking at the job duty of our employees, right? Like, you know, somebody has to be escorted to the bathroom saying, well, they're sexually harassed. You know, and so it really protects the employees if it falls within their job duties. And so I think that that's what they're saying. That
And I agree with you right up until the first comma and the third line down. After that, it's talking about something different. I mean, that would include student to student.
So do you think we should put this one on there just to have more debate and talk about it?
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that.
I'm totally, yeah.
It's just something I read and I'm like, I don't love the way it's read, but I don't have a solution tonight.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the statutes say on it either. So yeah, I think maybe we hold this one to discuss later. The one other thing on it is under Oregon procedures, so same page. So reports and complaints of sexual harassment should be made to the following individuals, the Title IX coordinator, and it gives a phone number. But we've also got a mandatory reporting hotline. Now that mandatory reporting doesn't necessarily include sexual harassment, but this policy specifically contemplates assault. And if there's assault of a student, that's potential child endangerment or child abuse. And so I would think we should add in the state mandatory reporting hotline into the policy also. Yeah, the other one we can discuss. I open people's ideas as to how to fix that portion. I don't have an answer on that.
Perfect, so it'll be, and that would be just all number 3 on that. We pull out and then we can have more debate on that.
Right.
And I can come up with some suggestions on kind of your feedback.
Perfect.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Are there any other comments?
So we're adopting them tonight, or making a motion to adopt them all, but number 3 on there. This is the 3rd reading on it, and so can we go forward, want to do that?
Do we feel comfortable at that point adopting they're numbered 1, 2, and then 4 through 22?
Well, some of those are deletes, but just adopt as written.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt the policy updates as written on our current agenda, with the exception of section 3 of policy, where'd it go? GB and JBA.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Dustin and seconded by Donnie to accept the policies as presented, except for item 3 in policy GBN, JBA. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. Okay, the last one on the old business under this policy updates is the policy update, second reading of policy EFA, the local wellness program. And we had several.
Yeah, so I took this policy to our wellness committee, and that committee is very specialized in areas like admin, the PE teachers, classroom teachers, and those, and then child nutrition. And we took sections of that policy we broke that out, and then so we're able to kind of use their expertise, and so we went over the whole policy with that committee. And so what you see is presented here is based on all of those recommendations from the committee. And like I said, it does the nurse, food nutrition, PE teachers, classroom teachers, administration as well. And so you'll see that in there as a recommendation from that wellness committee.
And this is just the second reading on this. I will be perfectly honest, I did not go completely through this policy. And so my personal preference is that I would like to go all the way through it. Our staff did a lot of work on that, and I would like to respect the work that they've done. So it is just the second reading. So we will don't need a motion on this one, so we now move on to new business, the elementary playground.
Yes, elementary playground. How's it going? No. We're excited to be at this process from really getting all the work that the elementary have done, getting kind of ideas and feedback from the community and students. And I mean, this really has. It started in the fall and kind of getting to here, kind of making a design, and then we went. We came in December and presented to the board, and then we went out to RFPs to get that number, and then we brought that back to study session for you guys to show the plan, to the ideas and all that. And so we would like to move forward, and this is the recommendation of the playground committee. And the committee reviewed all proposals, and based on the rubric is that we're recommending this one by what's the company name? I apologize.
Well, I just know Nate May.
Yes.
Is the contractor, I think it's Playground Source?
Yeah, Playground Source, is it?
Isn't it recreation today?
It's one of
Oh my goodness.
Forgot. Yeah, I apologize on that. But that is the recommendation that you'll see is it
Recreation today.
Recreation Today, thank you. By Recreation Today, and so that's the recommendation we're making, and we're actually really excited to get going and get started on it. So,
So, and when would they be able to begin?
so they will begin. It actually will be during summer school, correct? Prepping the ground and doing all that, and then it will. Right now, I mean, if we get it ordered and freight, that it will be ready for August for first day back with kids, and they'll have 5 days a week to play on that playground. So no. But yeah, so no, that's the timeline right now. We're actually perfect to meet that timeline to be ready to kind of do ribbon cutting ceremony first day of school.
And the walking track?
Yep, the walking track was in there as well in that proposal. So,
And that will also be done.
yep, both of them will be done.
Are they removing the equipment too?
Yep, all of it.
And the sand.
And what are you gonna do with that old equipment?
So the equipment, so I looked at it and I met with the city, and it is, because of it, I mean, its age, it's not ADA compliant, and there's a lot of things that are broken on there that you can't replace the parts that, we can't give it to any local agency or anything like that. And so I think what we're gonna do is just dispose of the equipment, so for safety and those reasons. So.
I truly appreciate all the work that our elementary school did in talking to people, getting advice from students and their families. It's tremendous. I appreciate that very much, Mr. So, we've all had a chance to look at that elementary playground. We have in front of us the estimate. So do I hear a motion on accepting this?
I'll make a motion to approve the playground and what is budgeted for.
Second.
It's been moved by Susan and seconded by Dustin to approve the elementary school playground at the estimate that is here in front of us. All those in favor, signify by raising your hand. Motion carries. I'm really excited. This
Yes.
playground is amazing. It looks great.
And actually, I just got word that it possibly will be done by Thunder Egg Days. So we'll be able to kind of do that kind of unveiling during that time. So they're going to try to make it under there. That's what Jesse just texted me on it. But I will, my hat is off to the elementary. And it's not just a playground. It's an outdoor classroom space. I mean, and there are just so many things to it. And so they really did think about all of those things. So I want to say thank you. And I know Thunder Egg Days are like, July, how's that going to happen? I don't know, but school for sure, but they're going to try to do it by Thunder Egg Days. So, yeah.
That would be tremendous to be done by then.
Yeah.
There are no other items for new business. We will now move on to the board report. I'd like to remind us all that we will have a work session meeting on April 7th at 6 o'clock here in the boardroom. Board scholarship deadline is April 4th by 5 p.m. and they should be turned into you, correct, Megan? Okay, and please remind our high school students of that. And I'm so excited about the Statement of Economic Interest, the SEI. I have had some interesting conversations with the Ethics Commission over this. However, it does open on March 15th and it will close on April 15th. Those of us on the board and superintendent and others need to file that. So it's just a reminder. So anything else I need to remind anyone about? Other than our next board meeting will be in April, and I'm not sure today. Oh, there's one thing that you need to talk about. We would like to have board members volunteer to just be at the parent-teacher conference in the evening. Susie, Jasmine, and I were at the high school at the last time. And it was a very good opportunity for us as board members to see and to meet our constituents and our families and to see our students. And we would like to do that again as long as our building administrators are happy with that. So
we need to, I think, be at the elementary and middle this time.
we were at the high school, so we would like to spread ourselves around a bit. So we don't know what time or how many of us can be there, but if anyone from the board would like to volunteer.
I have a question. They had that health fair, and so our poll to get people in is we have them sign up for a raffle. Is there any way of doing some kind of raffle or something so we have a way to get people to come over and meet us?
We could absolutely do a raffle. Yeah. But you gotta come meet and shake the hand of the board member to get a ticket. How about that?
Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
They get autographed.
Oh, yeah. Way to ruin the surprise.
Oh, yeah. Superhero cards. Come on.
We'll have an actual AI one, the superhero one. That'd be perfect.
I think we do like superhero trading cards.
Trading cards.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was all over the state because I got comments on it from my kids over in Portland and from relatives further south. I'm going, kidding me? I wasn't even there. I was sick that night.
I held your picture.
That's right. And I appreciate your holding it.
You'll get them all.
Yeah, exactly.
You get a free group picture if you get all the trading cards.
There. Get invited to the meeting next time. Yeah, that's they run away from these guys.
I don't want that.
Okay, if there are no other comments or suggestions,